Okay, shalom, incredible lesson. This is so exciting. I won't be able to get through all the wonderful concepts in this one lesson, but this is going to be part one. These good figs, taken from Jeremiah. Incredible prophecy and the signs to watch for. How does this relate to the words of Yeshua? And what can we learn about these good figs for our own life? Let's go and have a look. So the good figs, let's bring me on board. Shalom. So said the Lord God of Israel, like these good figs, so will I recognize, or I will know, the exiles of Judah, which I have sent forth from this place to the land of the Chaldeans for good. Okay, so we really want to know about what exactly are these good figs. Okay, so we're going to have a look at some incredible gematria and the concepts that those particular gematria pull out. I want to first emphasize though how this is all connected to some words of Yeshua. But let's just look at some initial gematria because it's really quite incredible. Kete'enim hatovot ha'eli, like figs that are good, these. Okay, so you got some incredible gematria in that. Really awesome. Let's just have a look at the first one so we know where we're aiming for with this. We've got to be on target. Torah means to be on target, to fire your arrow and aim at the right place. Ultimately, the target is going to be true knowledge of Yod He Waw He, which is true Torah. Okay, we need that to be revealed to us through the concept of the Mashiach. So how are all these concepts found in a prophecy revealed to us through a true concept of the Mashiach? And straight away here we've got Mashiach ben David filled out, Mashiach ben Dawid filled out when David has got the additional Yud. That means David rectified with the wisdom, the Yud, the wisdom of Chochmah, that symbolizes Mashiach ben Yosef. Okay, so 2298 is also filled these good figs to the level of Yetzirah. That means the level of formation. That's at the level of our Ruach, our spirit. Okay, and also bear in mind that this too is the realm, if you like, or the level or the world where the prince of the world is the administrating angel. He is the administrative angel, Metatron, the prince of this world at this level, and we have to get through that, do our work to get through that, repair all our holy emotions, rectify ourselves to such a degree that we're able to overcome that level and reach the level of Neshama, the level of Bari'ah, the level of understanding. Okay, so this is Mashiach ben David, and it's linked exactly to like these good figs. So we've got to be have this spark of Mashiach ben David in us if we want to be considered like these good figs, because you see these good figs are going to go into a place of exile for good. I'm just going to go look at Jeremiah in context, because you'll see that not all the experience of figs, for example, are good for everybody that are evil figs. Figs are full of seeds. Figs are full of seeds, represent like the word of God, like what Yeshua spoke in parables, the parable of the sower. So we can like a fig is a fruit absolutely full of seeds. It can be either good seeds from the tree of life or bad seeds from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. They're either going to reveal true knowledge of Yod He Waw He, or a mixture of good and bad, truth and lie, you know. And we want true knowledge, a true concept of Mashiach. Mashiach represents supernal da'af, rectified knowledge of Yod-Heh-Wah-Heh, the Lord, Hashem. Our knowledge fell when we ate from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, and our knowledge needs to be raised back up. And it's the role of Mashiach to raise up. Adam fell, Mashiach raises that knowledge back up. So we need a spark of Mashiach ben Dawid. Let's just look at the next one then. So the next connection, very powerful connection here, Yosef Zaphanath Paneach. So Yosef was named by Pharaoh Zaphanath Paneach, the one who reveals hidden secrets. Okay, so we've got again these good figs. We need to be at this level to be included in this prophecy. This is an important prophecy. Let's go and have a look why. Okay, so here we've got it in context. It says, and the word of Yeshua came to me, saying, so said the Lord God of Israel, like these good figs, so I will recognize the exile of Yehuda, which I have sent forth from this place to the land of the Chaldeans, for good. And I will place my eyes upon them for good, and I will return them to this land, and I will build them and not destroy them, and I will plant them and not pluck them, and I will give them a heart to know me. For I am the Lord, and they shall be to me a people, and I will be to them for a God, and they shall return to me with all their heart, bechol libam. So let's go and have a look at the bad figs. These, it's really coming from this prophecy. The Lord showed me 2 pots of figs prepared before the temple of the Lord, after Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, had exiled Jeconiah, son of Jehoiakim, king of Yehuda, and the princes of Yehuda and the craftsmen and the sentries of the gate from Jerusalem, and brought them into Babylon. In this exile was included Ezekiel the prophet. One pot contained very good figs, like first ripe figs, and the other pot contained very bad figs that could not be eaten because they were so bad. And the Lord said to me, what do you see, Jeremiah? And I said, figs. The good figs are very good, and the bad ones are very, very bad, which cannot be eaten because they are so bad. And the word of the Lord came to me, saying, so said the Lord God of Israel, like these good figs, so I will recognize the exile of Judah. So that's where we get this verse from, like these good figs. So we are to know Yeshua. We are to be brought back to the place in which we are exiled. We are to be fully restored. Now there's a lot actually hidden in this statement here, because this King Zedekiah didn't start off as Zedekiah. He started off, his name was Mattinyahu. You know, his name was changed by Nebuchadnezzar to Zedekiyahu. And there's something in that, because Zadok, it's like Zadok Yahu, Zidkiyahu. It's related to the name Zadok. And right now there's a massive surge in what's called Zadokites. They call themselves Zadokites. They believe that are somehow connected to Zadok. Now this evil king, who's the bad fig, is named by Nebuchadnezzar Zadok Yahu. Okay. And to me, that speaks to me, because I've come across Zadokite mentality, and they twist the word of Yahuwah, they twist the word of Yod-Heh-Wah-Heh in all out of proportion. They get very obsessive about things like calendars, pronunciation of names, only specific ways, which are not accurate, by the way. As far as the grammar of Hebrews understood, it seems like they hate everything that Yehuda does for the sake of hating Yehuda. Just because Yehuda does it well, we'll do something different. There's a real bad spirit with these bad figs, and it needs to be dealt with. Can't hide from it. It's just a real bad fig. They've got bad seeds. They've got corrupted words within them. Okay, that's just it. They twist the word. You know, say the figs are full of words. They twist the words, okay, and create bad figs out of it. Very bad figs, because they lead people astray. They get their own sense of elitism. They seem to hate Yehuda when we're supposed to be creating unity between Joseph and Yehuda. They are so like dogmatic about it, a sense of superiority. They believe that they're better than anything Yehuda has done. Okay, but it's quite clear that the good figs came out of Yehuda. Okay, so there's a lot of these people that are Zedekites to be warned, because Zedekiah is the root of the bad figs. There's something in that, because that ain't even his real name. It's like a warning given to us in this text, and I come across it so I know what I speak about. It's a very powerful spirit that's dominating at this moment within returners to Torah from the lost house of Joseph. A very dominant, powerful spirit that needs to be subjugated, and the putting out words like interpretations of the word of God that is corrupted. It's very bad. We shouldn't be eating this fruit. We should stay away from it completely. It's going to do a lot more harm than good. Everything I've looked at, it takes a long time to work through, because there's a lot of seeds in these bad figs. It takes a long time to work through and clarify all the errors. And even when you present it to them, the truth and the obvious errors in their doctrines, they still won't receive it, because they are just so dogmatic with it. Let's go see what happens then. And like the bad figs that cannot be eaten because they are so bad, for so says the Lord, so I will make Zedekiah king of Yehuda and his princes and the remnant of Jerusalem remaining in this land, and those dwelling in the land of Egypt, I shall make them for a horror, for the evil of all the kingdoms of the earth, for a disgrace and a proverb, for a conversation piece and for a curse in all the places where I will exile them. And I will send forth with sword, the famine, the pestilence against them until they are consumed upon the land. And I give them there and their forefathers. They're consumed from upon the land that I gave them and their forefathers. They're not going to inherit. You see, this exile for them is for their evil. The exile for the righteous good figs is for their good. We all been exiled. For some it is for evil, to destroy them, and for some it's good to build them up. So we need to be good figs. We need to have the good seed within us. We need to be fruitful, like the tree of life, not like the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Okay? Let's go also look at this then in context. We need to be the true Mashiach, not a false Mashiach. The true Mashiach speaks only of the name of Yod-Heh-Wawi and his mercy and his light and his love and the power and authority and sovereignty and oneness of his name. You know, a lot of these Zadokites are just pushing their own self-righteousness on people. They're trying to control people. They're charging a lot of money, by the way, for Zadokite calendars. You know, I looked up, sometimes up to $36, you know, for a Microsoft Excel file with these calendars that are all different. Everyone seems to be different. They've all come up with some excuse how to fit non-Torah calendars and fragments found in Dead Sea Scrolls, and also things that are not even written in the Torah regarding the calendar. They seem to be making money out of it. There's all different, and they're coming up with ways that, ways of calculating this calendar to make it fit when it doesn't fit. Okay? And there's error in it. And most of them are based on the same calculation as the Julian calendar, 365.25 days in a solar year. And eventually they will error just as the Julian calendar errors. Okay, so it's just lies from start to finish, but they're making quite a lot of money out of it, it would appear. And putting out a lot of teaching there to corrupt people returning to Torah. It's true. Let's go find out about these evil seeds, these evil figs. So in context, there's some very powerful things, a lesson of the fig tree. Go to this first, because this is the cursed fig tree, no doubt connected to these bad figs. There's a context to this, a triumphal entry into Jerusalem. Yeshua cleanses the temple. Okay, in Matthew it's a slightly different order than in Mark. The barren fig is cursed first, I do believe. However, let's read this. So the barren fig tree, in the morning, as Yeshua was returned to the city, was hungry. Seeing a fig tree by the road, he went up to it, but found nothing on it except leaves. May you never bear fruit again, he said, and immediately the tree withered. When the disciples saw this, they marveled and asked, how did the fig tree wither so quickly? Truly I tell you, Yeshua replied, if you have faith and do not doubt, not only will you do what was done to the fig tree, i.e. get rid of these Zadokites, but even if you say to this mountain, be lifted up and thrown into the sea, it will happen. If you believe, you will receive whatever you ask for in prayer. He's given us some authority here. He's given us his authority to get rid of these bad figs from in our midst. We should be speaking them into being, like be lifted up and thrown into the sea. We got to, I think is it also mentioned like in, you got to set your forehead like flint against these people. You know, be like Ezekiel in the matter. You got to know what they are, bad figs, and what to do about them. Because you see, we've got to follow in the example of Yeshua here. Be lifted up and thrown into the sea, and it will happen. Because you have faith that you're doing what is right. So we should say, I mean, this is all going to happen at a spiritual level. We're not really wanting believers in Yeshua that have been corrupted by these bad figs to be lifted up and literally drowned. We don't want that, but you see, we want the influence of these bad figs to be gone from our midst, the midst of our congregation. The things that are going to stop unity between Joseph and Yehuda, be lifted up and thrown into the sea, because they're creating a government of their own. A mountain represents a form of governance. They are trying to deceive and govern people and manipulate people and corrupt the teaching of not only Yeshua but the Torah. It's not the Torah that they are preaching. They are preaching lies so they can fleece the flock, control the flock. And they're making Yehuda look bad as they go along. And Joseph. Okay, so let's have some context. Mark 11. So in here, again, triumphal entry. Blessed is he who comes in the name of Yahuwah. Blessed is the coming kingdom of our father David. Hosanna in the highest heavens. Okay, so this is the context to recognize Yeshua who comes in the name of Yahuwah. He comes in the name of the Lord. He comes in the name of Yoteh-Wawheh. Okay, blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. That means he's perfectly emulating the good attributes of that name. He's a good fig from the tree of life. And that's who we've got to emulate. So then he's going into the temple that needs to be destroyed. Why does the temple in Yeshua's time need to be destroyed? Because it's not built in accordance to the name of Yoteh-Wawheh. It is built in accordance to the Prince of the world. Okay, as it would never have been destroyed. It says in Psalm 127, unless Yoteh-Wawheh builds the house, the builders build in vain. Be'emeth. Unless Yoteh-Wawheh builds the house, the builders build in vain. Unless the watchman, unless Yahuwah watches the city, the watchmen watch in vain. Okay, we got to build this house up in accordance to the name of Yoteh-Wawheh that was given to us by Yeshua HaMashiach. The name as revealed to us through Yeshua HaMashiach, the power and authority of his name. Okay? The chief priests and the preachers of the Torah heard this. So he goes in, he says, the next day they were leaving Bethany. Yeshua was hungry. Seeing in the distance a fig tree in leaf, he went to find out if it had any fruit. When he reached it, he found nothing but leaves, because it was not the season of figs. And he said to the tree, may no one ever eat fruit from you again. Yeah, don't eat fruit from these bad figs. The tree of life bears fruit every month. Okay, we don't have seasons. We don't have seasons. The tree of life, the name of Yod-Heh-Wah, bears fruit every month. May no one ever eat fruit from you again. You know, it's cursed, the tree of knowledge of good and evil. And his disciples heard him say of it. On reaching Jerusalem, Yeshua entered the temple courts and began driving out those who were buying and selling there. He overturned the tables of the money changers and the benches of those selling doves, and would not allow anyone to carry merchandise through the temple courts. And as he taught them, he said, "Is it not written, my house shall be called a house of prayer for all peoples?" This is the one that we are building up. For all peoples, not just a select little righteous clique that follow a certain set of deranged rules that they've made up for themselves. A house of prayer for all nations. And I am sorry that I have to speak like this, because they don't hear otherwise. And you've got to set your mind, your head as flint against them. You're dealing with a government. You're dealing with a mountain that needs to be hurled into the sea and put out, brought down for what it is. But you have made it a den of robbers. They're all making money out of these false doctrines that are poisoning the house of Yosef and hating the house of Yehuda. It's the truth. They're peddling lies and they're peddling hate, and they're making a lot of money out of it. The chief priests and the teachers of the law heard this and began looking for a way to kill him. Yes, they did want to kill him because he was telling the truth. But they feared him because the whole crowd was amazed at his teaching, because it was life. And when evening came, Yeshua and his disciples went out of the city. In the morning, as they went along, they saw the fig tree withered from its roots. Peter remembered and said to Yeshua, "Rabbi, look, the fig tree you cursed has withered." Have faith in Elohim, Yeshua answered. Truly I tell you, if anyone says to this mountain, go throw yourself into the sea, and does not doubt in their heart, but believes that what they say will happen, it will be done for them. Therefore I tell you, whatever you ask for in prayer, believe that you will have received it, and it will be yours. And when you stand praying, if you hold anything against anyone, forgive them, so that your Father in heaven may forgive your sins. And then it goes on about the authority of Yeshua. You know, he was questioning his authority. What authority have you? What authority have you? He said, you see, they couldn't even, because they're so enslaved by what people think about them. They couldn't even challenge him on the authority that they'd witnessed in him. Okay, he's letting you know we have access to that level of authority and we should use it. We need to use it now, because you see these fig trees are springing up all over and they're not bearing fruit, and when they do, they're bearing bad fruit, bad figs that are not edible. So that's my take on that. Look at this, however, very important prophecy regarding fig trees. This is a wonderful lesson of the fig tree. Here it is. This is a wonderful chapter in itself. It says, now learn this lesson from the fig tree. As soon as its branches become tender and sprout leaves, you know that the summer is near. So also when you see all these things, you will know that he is near, right at the door. Truly I tell you, this generation that bears witness to the fig tree that gives off the good figs, by the way, that is the sign of the coming of the Son of Man, Yeshua. Truly I tell you, this generation will not pass away until all these things have happened. Heaven and earth will pass away, but my words will never pass away. So we have some assurity even in that. The lesson of the fig tree, it's right now. We are right there. At the time the sign of the Son of Man will appear in heaven, and all the tribes of the earth will mourn. When we see who we've been dishonouring for the last 2,000 years. The good figs, however, the good figs amongst us, the good ones that give forth good teaching. Teaching comes from the tree of life. Teaching that is inspired through knowing Yeshua, knowing Yotewahwe, through Yeshua HaMashiach. These are good lessons that are going to teach you about the power of oneness and authority of his name. Lessons that are going to bring you to humility and exaltedness. Lessons that are going to sanctify you, make you holy, fit for purpose. Lessons that are going to create love and joy. Lessons that are going to create unity between both houses of Yehuda and Yosef. Lessons good, seed, fruitful. By the fruits we are known. So let's go back, look at the gematria, because it's very, very important. Okay, so we got Zaphanath Paneach. I just wanted to point out the 1158 of Zaphanath Paneach. Yosef Zaphanath Paneach is exactly the same as Notzrut, filled at the level of Atziluth. That means the highest level of filling possible. Nun Tzadi Resh Vav Tav. Okay, filled at the highest level possible, which is where the Vav is filled with a Yod. Okay, which is here. So each letter as it sounds. Notzruth, Christianity. It comes from the word Notzer, to guard. And it's a prophecy in itself, being the fact that Christianity is called Notzruth. Okay, that's another lesson. However, Yeshua, 386, 4 times Yeshua, is the Mispah Gadol, the big number in, take into consideration the Sophit Mem, the fact that the Mem changes at the end of a word and has a higher numerical value, what's called the Mispah Gadol values, 1544. 1544. There's other numbers that this is related to that are very, very wonderful. So there we go. Straight away there's a connection through Zaphanath Paneach, Yosef Zaphanath Paneach, to Yeshua. These are the good eggs, the ones who are like Yeshua, the ones who imitate Yeshua, the ones who do what Yeshua said to do. You know what's a big word that he said to do that is very important? And I've come across this again and again recently. I even posted something on Facebook about it today. Turn the other cheek. There's so many people that are offended and reacting and triggered by their offence. Okay, turn the other cheek. Turn the other cheek. There's people in prison for murder that could have benefited from that wisdom. Prove his wisdom. Prove his wisdom. Prove his wisdom. Prove it in your life. The power of his words. Like what he said. Do his words. Prove yourself by being obedient to. Prove this word by having it in your own life. Seeing the fruits of obedience to his word. Turn the other cheek. Stop being so offended. Stop being so triggered. Stop being so angry. Start being humble. And in our humbleness, we are also exalted. We're here to serve. We're here to imitate him. We're here to obey his wisdom and believe in it. Do we believe in Yeshua? Well, I'm just going to get triggered and angry and offended at everybody who what? You're going to prove, because there's people in prison today through acts of violence because they should have obeyed the word. They're triggered when somebody says something to them. They're getting into trouble by the authorities over and over and over again. They're shouting and cursing at people. I've had it myself from people. Supposed Christians. They're not doing. They are, but they've been purchased, but they're not obedient to the wisdom that Yeshua gave us. Just turn the other cheek. Stop being so offended. Be like these good figs. Be included in the good figs. And the wisdom of the scribes will stink. Okay, so I've done teachings on this before regarding Vilna Gaon. Vilna Gaon was one of the most famous rabbis, one of the most respected rabbis within Judaism. He wrote a whole book called Kol HaTorah. It was all about the concept of Mashiach ben Yosef. It was utterly and absolutely wonderful Torah teaching. Pulled out the mysteries and the hidden teaching, the good figs of Torah, Vilna Gaon. Truly, he personally exiled himself. And there's a story behind that. But anyway, I'm not going to go into this time. This wisdom of the stages will stink, because if you go look in the Talmud at Sotah 49, I think it's 49, I can't say, I think it's either, it's 49a, I think, but I might be wrong with that one. The phrase comes to 1544. It's exactly this. You see, Yeshua's opposite this. The good figs are opposite this. We have teachings and wisdoms of the scribes that stinks. It's a foul odour. It's not true wisdom. That are challenging the truth about Yeshua, the equal opposite, evil to the light. They are darkness contrasted to the light of Yeshua. Everything in this world has its equal opposite in order to maintain free choice. So when the true wisdom of Yeshua comes along, there's got to be some evil wisdom to counter that, so it maintains free choice. We have to choose life. We have to choose true wisdom. And sometimes when we don't, we learn the hard way. Okay, so the wisdom of the scribes that writes wickedness and lies about Yeshua, it's going to stink. Okay, and the people that are clung to that in defense. There's stories about every time when you quote about the truth about Yeshua, you'll get quoted from Jewish people, only Jewish people, the concept of Yeshu. It's the derogatory name of Yeshua. It means may his name and his memory be erased. Yemach shemo zikro. And it's the name Yeshua with the letter Ayin removed from it. So it's a curse. He's had his literal name erased. And they say that he is boiling in either a pot of excrement or boiling in semen. He's Esav reincarnated, boiling in a pot of excrement because he dared to challenge what the sages said, the wisdom of the sages. This is all true within Judaism. Okay? So you take 2,000 years of history where people have actually listened to the true wisdom of Yeshua, who was the Mashiach, knowledge of Yod-Heh-Wah-Weh, a manifestation of the light of the authority and power and oneness of his name. Okay? The work that has been done in the 2,000 years since he was killed, sentenced to death, and now it's almost 2,000 years. How can you ascribe those good works and those good fruits to Esav reincarnated, boiling in a pot of excrement, worthy of his name being erased to a curse? Yimach shemo v'zikro, may his name and his memory be erased. That's it. All the hungry people fed. All the thirsty given water, all the prisoners let out of all the prisons that they've descended into, whether it's spiritual or physical prisons, the naked clothed, the sick healed, the orphans and the widows kindness, the entire, if this dark, pagan, animistic, godless world filled with knowledge of Yod-Heh-Wah-Weh, and a Jew with the wisdom of the sages that they cling to is ascribing that. Literally, they will quote this to me. They're ascribing the reality of 2,000 years of history that is good fruits, good works, to Esav, reincarnated Esav, boiling in a pot of excrement. That's how, and with his name erased, Yeshu, because he was wicked. Okay, that is not sufficient. Question the way sages whose wisdom stinks because it don't align to reality at all. The Mashiach is knowledge of Yod-Heh-Wah-Weh. Through Yeshua, whether you like it or not, has brought knowledge of Yod-Heh-Wah-Weh into this world and the good deeds that come through. True knowledge of Yod-Heh-Wah-Weh, because you see that name changes us. It's changed the whole of this humanity in which we dwell for good. That don't mean to say we're perfect. That don't mean to say we don't make bad decisions. Even with the revelation of Yeshua, we have choice. We still have free choice. Yod-Heh-Wah-Weh never overrules free choice. So wicked people will still carry on doing wicked, but they don't do just wicked. They are trying, and humanity has been going in the right direction for 2,000 years towards true knowledge of Yod-Heh-Wah-Weh, to reveal his name, the power of his name, the light of his name, knowledge of his name, till the earth is filled with the glory of the knowledge of Yod-Heh-Wah-Weh as the waters cover the sea. Truth, know it. Don't settle for these lies. The wisdom of the scribes will stink because truth will be missing. So I'm telling you the truth. Yeshua is the Mashiach, because the Mashiach is one who reveals knowledge of Yod-Heh-Wah-Weh. And if you don't believe that, as Yeshua said, believe my works. If you can deny 2,000 years of history, question your beliefs with which you do. Question the sages who tell you that it's Yeshua boiling in a pot of excrement, Esav reincarnated, because that isn't sufficient wisdom. It stinks, know it. Know it. It does not hold up under scrutiny. It's a lie. It's a lie. It's bad figs. It's bad figs. This is connected to this number. This is the truth. This is a meth. You want a meth? Od Yosef Chai. Od Yosef Chai. What is that? This is like these good figs. Okay? By the way, 138 is Tzemach. Tzemach. It's one of the names of Mashiach. It means the branch. Okay, we are supposed to enter into this messianic reality where we are ever flourishing, ever growing. We're not like a fig tree that needs to be cursed on account of its lack of fruitfulness. We're not relying on the seasons for our fruit. We're relying on being attached to the tree of life. The name of Yod-Heh-Wah-Weh is fruitful all days, every day, any time. It's beyond time. Od Yosef Chai, Yosef is still alive. Okay. There's so much that you could say with that. They thought Yosef was dead. They thought Yosef was dead. They had evilly judged Yosef. And all along, Yod-Heh-Wah-Weh had a plan for him to take him into the deepest, darkest exile and for him to dominate over it. And that's the world that we have seen in Roman dominion for 2,000 years. You see, this light of Yosef did not die in Rome. It's alive. And there's works to prove it. There's works that are 100% born out of a light that cannot be described other than being the light of Yod-Heh-Wah-Weh, knowledge of that light, made known to people who have acted in accordance to its influence. Think about, this is another thing you get quoted. All the Holocaust victims, all the Christians the Christians didn't go around killing Jews in the war. The one that was fighting Hitler, a lot of the true Christians, a lot of the Bnei Yisrael, a lot of Yosef, the Amalekites killed the Jews. The Christians, the true believers who emulated his name, were saving Jews despite the threat to their own life. Truth. Don't have it missing from your narrative. Don't have it missing from your narrative. They people was acting in accordance to a belief in the power of the name and the wisdom of Yeshua that was revealed to them through his word and through his soul, that they are anointed with, because it's the will of Yod-Heh-Wah-Weh to redeem the lost of Yosef. That's what's alive. We've seen it in this world. Know it. Know it. Be like the good figs that know this truth. Don't be lied to. Okay, so this is powerful. This is really powerful. Love your neighbour as yourself. So, if we take this, let me just think. Love your neighbour as yourself. So, it's 956, the regular and order, and love your neighbour as yourself, plus Balak, the regular and order. There's a connection to this from the Ohev Yisrael. You see, when we are Israel, we're supposed to love one another. We're supposed to love one another. Brother, neighbour is supposed to love neighbour. Reyacha, love your neighbour as yourself. This includes brotherly love. We are in this state of exile because of lack of brotherly love. Just as there was a hate between Joseph and his brothers, we're now experiencing a hatred, Yehuda and Joseph. This got to be corrected. Okay? Because really our neighbour is Yod-Heh-Wah-Heh. And there's a mystery in that, because Judah represents Yod-Heh-Wah-Heh in the letter of the Torah. They have maintained the oracles, as Paul said, of God. You know, the Torah of Moshe is given on Mount Sinai. They are anointed with that. They are anointed with they're disciples of Moshe. They are anointed with the spirit of Moshe. Okay, they preserve a light that represents the name of Yod-Heh-Wah-Heh revealed in the Torah of Moshe at Sinai, the marriage contract. Okay, Yosef is another light, a revelation of his name above the letter of the Torah, is what is written in Micah 7:20, 18 to 20. Okay, these are brothers. They have the same mission in this world, to reveal the authority and sovereignty and oneness of the name of Yod-Heh-Wah-Heh. They do it in different ways. One anointed with Moshe, one anointed with Mashiach ben Yosef. It's a higher level of name. That's why Christians are much more sacrificial when it comes to, they'll love strangers. They'll go out and lay their life down for tribes in a country they never knew. Okay? They know how to love their neighbour in a much more merciful way. They extend it to a much more macrocosmic extent. Love your neighbour as yourself. Your neighbour can even be like your brother. We are in this exile because of lack of love. Because of hate. Sinat chinam. Hate between brothers. Brotherly hate. We need to reach a place of brotherly love. Ohev Yisrael, I can't remember the actual name of the rabbi, but everything he said to do with Torah was somehow an expression of the love of Israel. Ohev Israel, the love of Israel. And he was questioned by one of his disciples, and one of the disciples says, okay, so he said every Torah portion was really connected to the love of Israel in one way or another. And this one disciple said, what about the Torah portion Balak? And he says, oh, that's easy. Ve'ahavta le'reacha kamocha. Okay, meaning each of the initial letters, ve'ahavta le'reacha kamocha, spelt Balak. And they do in a way, but not as we ordinarily know about it, because it's Balak is a beit, and that is a vav. But a beit or a vase sounds like a vav. It's got a similar sound to a v sound. The letter beit can be either beit or vase, beit or veit. Okay, it's got two separate pronunciations. So the veit sounds a lot like vav. That's what he was saying. The lamed is exactly the same. Lereyacha, for your neighbour. And the kuf sounds like a kaf. Okay, kuf, k sound. Kamocha, Balak, same sound, but not the same letter, different letters. The disciple said, yeah, but they're not the same letters. And he says, when it comes to loving your neighbour, you need to overlook the details. And that's what we've got to do. We've got to sometimes overlook the fact that we've got some things that don't quite look right. You know, for the sake of love, we got to overlook the details. And that's sometimes what we've got to. You've got to almost turn a blind eye to some things. That's going to be required in order to be loved. It's like the commandment of the red heifer. Okay, so the priests get spiritually impure. The priests that cleanse the person who's contaminated with the spirit of death, with the ashes of the red heifer, they themselves get impure, and the person that had the spirit of death impurity becomes pure. I mean, what's this all about? Why would that be so? And somebody noted, some commentary, I can't remember which said it, but when it comes to loving your neighbour, you sometimes get a little bit dirty for their sake. You know, you get contaminated by trying to get them pure. And this is what our work is in the body of Mashiach. Sometimes we do a dirty job. Sometimes we get contaminated by the very filth we're trying to cleanse the person from. But you got to go to the words of the Torah. You can't leave yourself in a state of impurity. It's part of the command. The priest who administered the cleansing ashes that brought about a cleansing from the death impurity, they went and got themselves ritually pure again by immersing into the water that symbolises Torah. By being obedient to the Torah commands, they themselves got pure again. They didn't carry that contamination, but in the process of helping their neighbour, loving their neighbour, they got contaminated whilst they got clean. But they still had to deal with it. That's what loving your neighbour is like sometimes. It's a sacrifice. This is very interesting. We're in a Roman exile to bring about unity between Israel and the nations. Body and soul, heaven and earth, man and woman, vessel and light. There's all kinds of ways. Yod He Waweh, Hu Elohim, unity, echad, oneness, the power of the holy name to accomplish that. Everything in creation is purpose for that one end, to reveal echad, oneness. Okay, so you've got Yaakov and Esav, the brothers. Yaakov represents Israel, Esav represents the nations. Okay, we've got to bring Esav to a place of shalom. Esav has got the numerical value of shalom. Yaakov, united with Esav, comes to 558. However, 5 times in Tanakh, Yaakov is spelt with an extra vav in his name. So it comes to 188. United with Esav, Israel and the nations. If we add this number and this number together, we get 1122. And love your neighbour as yourself. Joseph is still alive, like these good figs. It's all about unity, not division. It's all about sanctifying the entire of reality. Israel, which represents the name of Yod Heh Waweh, and the nations, to bring them to a place of shalom. Okay? Shalom bayith, peace in the home. The figure of Sarapis is worshipped as it symbolises Joseph, who ruled over Sar, he was the prince, and appeased Memphis, the entire world, by distributing food during the 7 years of famine. So this is connected up here. That's the connection to this love your neighbour as yourself and Balak. I did a whole teaching on Sarapis and how the concept of Mashiach ben Yosef is dressed up in the 70 gods of Esav, and we need to wrestle with every single one of those lies. But if you're believing a lie, okay, that you're dealing with Esav himself, you're in error. It's hidden under the goat skins of Esav is Yosef, Mashiach ben Yosef. True knowledge of Yod Heh Waweh. That's what's concealed. We got to find it. Else if we don't, we're left with wisdom of the scribes that stinks. So I did a whole teaching on that. It's an incredible, timely concept, because not only did he appease the world of famine, but he also, Joseph appeased, there was 2 appeasements. He appeased also the famine of knowledge. And a famine of knowledge. Famine of knowledge of what? Famine of knowledge of true truth, true knowledge, true Mashiach. We've got false Mashiach there instead. We got the raised cobra of Pharaoh, where we should have true knowledge in the place of Golgotha. That true knowledge comes through truth regarding Yeshua HaMashiach. The truth, not the lies, not the Roman and pagan gods he's been dressed up in. The truth. Od Yosef Chai. So it empowers Yaakov, give truth to Yaakov, so that he can subdue Esav, subdue the nations to a place of shalom. Right now, the famine of knowledge is causing Hamas, worldwide Hamas, propaganda, lies, hatred of Jews, hatred of the land, the holy land of Israel, wicked reports about it endlessly, wicked reports about Christianity, all kinds of rubbish, peddling lies, lies upon lies upon lies that drown like a flood true knowledge. Okay, the whole world is filled with Hamas, as in the days of Noah, so in the days of the coming of the Son of Man. The reason why the flood came was because there was the world full of Hamas. That's the word for violence that's used to describe the people in Noah's generation. We have that today. We have that same flood of violence and evil because the Son of Man is coming. And as in the days of the Noah, so now. So you see, we got to be the ones to fill this earth with the truth. You see, when we see that mountain of lies, that bad fig, that bad seed, that lies, that propaganda, we need to hurl it into the sea where it belongs, because we zealous for his name, like Yeshua was zealous for the temple. That's why he turned the tables over in the context of the cursing of the fig tree, to show what we should be giving authority to. It isn't to the schemes of man, the money making of man, the temple that's not built to honour the name of Yod-Heh-Wah-Weh, but to glorify man. We want that hurled into the sea, and we want to see this earth covered with the glory of the knowledge of Yod-Heh-Wah-Weh as the waters cover the sea instead. And that's going to take the truth. And Yosef's got the power to appease this famine of knowledge. We need to connect to the truth regarding Yosef, because we're going to be like the good figs when we do. And you see, the words that come out of our mouths are going to be good seed. It's going to yield truth, knowledge, true knowledge of Yod-Heh-Wah-Weh. Okay. For the sowing is for peace. We are scattering these seeds for peace. We have no other agenda. We have no other agendas. We're not doing it to make money. We want to be at peace. Because when there is shalom bayith, peace in the home, we have created a home that Yod-Heh-Wah-Weh himself can dwell in. That's the very first letter of Bereshith, Genesis, by the way. Bereshith. The first letter means house. We're building a house for Yod-Heh-Wah-Weh. And that is connected to this number here and this number here. Okay? I think it's 3 times 8. Yeah, it is. 3 times 8 or 9 is 2,427. Okay, so there's a connection. There's a motivation that is pure and holy. For the sowing is for shalom. Kizara. Talk about the seeds that come from the good figs. The seeds that is the word of Yod-Heh-Wah-Weh. We have one agenda and one agenda only, to bring peace. Yod-Heh-Wah-Weh shalom. That's what's written in Judges 6:24, I do believe. That's the name of Yod-Heh-Wah-Weh, by the way. Yod-Heh-Wah-Weh Shalom. It's related to Mashiach ben David, because he said, Ani Shalom. King David said, Ani Shalom. I am peace. I am peace. Ani, I am Shalom. And we want him to get to his kingdom, his millennium reign. We want him to reveal Mashiach ben David, the second coming, connected up here, of Yeshua. The second coming of the Mashiach is in the role of Mashiach ben David. Okay. Etz Chaim, tree of life. Okay, Etz Chaim, tree of life. These good figs come from the tree of life. Okay, the Mispagadol. Mispagadol regular and the Mispagadol order. That is also the same gematria as Hamelech. Hamelech, the king. The king. The tree of life is the king. Comes to 1693, exactly the same as the Mispagadol and regular of like these good figs. Okay, it's beautiful gematria. And not only that, I just had an inspiration and it's gone. Oh yeah, that's it. 149 is Melech Goyim. Melech Goyim. This is the king of the nations. If we think that being Israel is what it's all about, and Yod-Heh-Wah only wants to be the king of Israel, we are deceived. He wants to be the king of the nations too, and I'll tell you why. He wants the nations to all be part of a Goy Kadosh, holy nation, because the last verse in the which says before the eyes of all Israel, the last portion of the verse of Torah, before the eyes of all Israel, has a gematria of 149. The very first verse, Bereshith bara Elohim et hashamayim wa et haaretz, has a gematria of 298, 2 times 190, 49. So the end and the beginning, the Aleph and the Tav of the Torah itself, is indicating that Yod-Heh-Wah wants to be the king over all the nations too. Not just Israel, king of the nations too. And that's for us to accomplish through the truth given over to Yaakov, to help subdue the nations which represent Esav, Yaakov's brother, to a place of shalom. Okay. So, it's all good. Hasten 3 seah of meal and fine flour. So this is Abraham. By the way, the regular and ordinal of this, okay, comes to 1864. 8 times 233. If you look here, Etz Chaim is one of the ways from the Tanakh that the tree of life is called Etz Chaim. However, there are other places where it's called Etz HaChaim, the tree of life. When it's got that extra he, the gematria of it goes to 233. 228 plus 5, the he, Etz HaChaim, goes to 233. So this again, hasten 3, seah of meal and fine flour, is connected to the tree of life. And we can see here the square ordinal of this, hasten 3 seah of meal, is also connected, is a square ordinal of that, 3992, 2 times 1996, is also connected to the tree of life. These are the 3 Abrahamic faiths. This was Abraham telling Sarah, go hasten 3 seah of meal, when the 3 Melachim came and visited him. Okay. This is the Messianic. This is the Messianic Abrahamic faiths. This is the Messiah that's contained within the entire of Abraham's descendants. So we've got Mashiach ben Yosef, Mashiach ben David, and Moshe. So the Jewish faith, Christianity and Islam, at some point them 3 are going to be united in love and respect. We've all got different roles to play. I've talked about this a lot. I can't talk about it in this lesson, but that's also connected to the smallest parable in the entire gospel. Okay, the woman who had 3 portions of meal. Let me just go find it. Okay, this is quite interesting because there is actually a context to another parable about the fig tree. Okay, so I'll say the one after I've said this because it's all tying in, isn't it? Yeshua told this parable. A man had a fig tree that was planted in his vineyard. He went to look for fruit on it but did not find any. So he said to the keeper of the vineyard, look, for the past 3 years I have come to search for fruit on this fig tree and I haven't found any. Therefore cut it down. Why should I use up the soil? You've got to be fruitful. You've got to produce good figs. Sir, the man replied, leave it alone again this year until I dig around it and fertilise it. If it bears fruit next year, fine, but if not, you can cut it down. Okay, so that's bearing in mind everything that we've come across. However, look at this. This is the parable of the leaven, the smallest parable, the shortest parable in the entire Besoroth, glad tidings. He says, again he asked, to what can I compare the kingdom of Elohim? It is like leaven that a woman took and mixed into 3 measures of flour until all of it were leavened. Okay, so let's go back and look at the context for what instruction Abraham gave to Sarah. Okay, so hasten 3 seah of meal and fine flour. So we can see this is connected to the tree of life. Within all the Abrahamic faiths is a potential to connect to the tree of life. Unfortunately, because of the bad figs, the bad seed and the bad teaching, we can produce fruit that's not even edible. Okay, so we've got to connect to the true teachings, the good interpretation, the one that is interpreted in accordance to the name of Yod-Heh-Wawi that's trying to be revealed through it. Okay, not the interpretation that gains us the most money or the biggest audience or is, wins favour. Is basically a pantomime show, because a lot of teaching can turn into that. So it's connected to the tree of life in 2 ways, this meal, and it's connected to the shortest parable also. You see, Yod-Heh-Wawi wants unity. He wants us to see the good seed in all these 3 Abrahamic faiths. Okay, and in a way there's unity. Abraham gave birth to Ishmael and Yitzhak, so Ishmael has got to be included in the blessings of Abraham. Yitzhak gave birth to Yaakov and Esav. Esav has got to be also included, because everything in this world exists for one purpose, to reveal the oneness of Yod-Heh-Wawi. It doesn't exist for any other reason than that. And until we start to see the purpose, the true purpose of everything's existence, we're going to come up with a bad interpretation of it otherwise. We're going to come up with bad seeds, bad figs, and the consequences of that are you're in exile for your own bad. You're in exile for your own evil. We've got to be the good figs that reveal the tree of life, the good in Islam, the good in Christianity, the good in Judaism, that bring unity and love and joy, that respect him, that glorify the name of Yod-Heh-Wawi, that magnify his name, that say, look at all the goodness and the holiness this whole world is filled with, instead of just seeing all the stingy, slitty-eyed serpent view where everybody out there's our enemy because they're not quite like us, because we're bad figs full of bad seeds that have poisoned us, into seeing the good, to seeing this world filled with the glory, the knowledge of the glory of Yod-Heh-Wawi as the waters cover the sea. Okay? Attached to the tree of life. This is very interesting. Okay, I've got to reveal another layer. Where do I get this from? Okay, might have to reveal another layer even. I think I do. See what this is. All right, this is it. Is it? No. Okay, so this is where I've not colour coordinated it. You've got these 3 women, Rachel, Sarach and Leah. So you've got 3 aspects of Yaakov. You've got Yaakov, how it's normally spelled. You've got Yaakov rectified with the Vav that represents Od Yosef Chai, the truth that Yosef is still alive, that revived Yaakov, who spoke this truth to Yaakov. According to the sages, it was Sarach bat Asher. Okay, so Yaakov is linked to Rachel. Yaakov rectified is linked to Sarach bat Asher, who revived him and brought him back to life when Rachel was dead herself. And then you've got Leah, who is the wife of Yaakov, completely rectified with his new name, Yisrael. Okay? So, if you add the 911, which is actually Reshith, we talked about Bet, and then Reshith, Bereshith, the very first word of the Torah. So Reshith is 911, the beginnings or the first fruits, the Reshith. Then the house, the Bet, the letter Bet. The house is Rachel, Sarach and Leah to go with this first fruit. Okay, the firsts, that is Yisrael. But there's a process before Yaakov gets to Yisrael. He goes through a process. Okay, so if we unite this 911 to 782, which is the gematria of these three names, it comes to 1693, which is the misbagadol, regular and ordinal of the tree of life. And it's also connected to these good, like these good figs. So this is very powerful. This is a very powerful phenomena. There's a lot of evil comes against this unity. Comes against this unity that we've got here. That is Armilos, the anti-Mashiach. This is spelt, I think how Vilna Gaon spelt it. Armilos, the anti-Mashiach. It's got a square ordinal of 1075. It's going against Yaakov, reaching his status as Yisrael. The first fruits, the Reshit, the beginnings, the firsts. He's going against the firsts. He don't want us to attain our status as Yashar El, because then we are straight to El with no intermediaries whatsoever, no divine angelic forces rule over us whatsoever. He's also going against 424. The regular and ordinal come to 424. That's Mashiach ben David, when David is spelt without the additional yod. Okay, so he's going against true knowledge. He's going against true knowledge of Yod Heh Wah. Yaakov needs to be given the truth, or Yosef Chai, and then somehow he's able to attain that true status of Yasharel. Eventually he becomes Yashael, because it's Yosef goes out to meet Yisrael, his father. Okay. And again, it's connected to Od Yosef Chai. If you don't know the truth, Od Yosef Chai, if you don't know that Moshiach ben Yosef, that is the founder of Nazaruth Christianity, okay, that has been exiled into Rome, is not alive with the power of the holy name of Yod Heh Wah Heh, then you're not going to be able to defeat the anti-Messiah and all his lies, and you're going to be stuck somewhere here where the wisdom of the scribes will stink, because you won't have the truth, because truth will be lacking. And that's written in the Talmud. That's written in the Talmud. Okay, utterly destroyed. So this is a phenomenal teaching. It's related, it's got the same filling out as the filling out of these good figs. Okay, so it's related. I've done a whole teaching on this. I'll try and bring it up quickly. Okay, so I'm not going to go through every detail on there, but it's phenomenal. If you wanted to just pause it and have a look, there's some phenomenal gematria. Yosef, he was a successful man. Okay, and the end letters of this come to unveiling. You got to unveil the concept of Mashiach ben Yosef. But it's connected to utterly destroyed. It's also connected to Likrat Yisrael, where Yosef goes out to meet Yisrael, his father. It says here, this is taken from Rashi, by the way, because this concept of being utterly destroyed is very much linked to the concept of Mashiach ben Yosef. We are suffering 2,000 years of exile for a reason. By the way, when it comes to Abraham, the children who enter into the promise of the land that was sworn to Abraham, the condition is they have to suffer exile. We don't get to the land except we are of the seed of Abraham that also suffered exile. We're all in the Edomite exile in order to be the ones that enter into the promised land. Okay, when you beget children and children's children, and you will be no longer established in the land, and you'll become corrupt and make a graven image, likeness of anything, and do evil in the eyes of Yeshua, your Elohim, to provoke him to anger. So that's Deuteronomy 4:25. It says, and you will be long established. The Hebrew was Shinantam. He hinted to them that he would be exiled from it at the end of 852 years. The gematria, the numerical value of the word, was Shanantam, but he exiled them earlier at the end of 850 years. He did this 2 years earlier than the numerical value of Washanantam, in order that the prophecy about them would not be fulfilled, that you shall be utterly destroyed. So Yeshua HaMashiach has been in 2,000 years of Edomite exile. Okay, that is synonymous with the 2 years that Yosef spent extra in the prison from when the cupbearer left until when he was finally removed out of the prison. For 2 words he uttered: remember me to Pharaoh and take me out of here. That showed a lack of faith that he needed to have corrected. I believe it's correcting 2 aspects of our faith. One, in the coming of the belief, the perfect faith in the coming of the Mashiach, and perfect faith, complete faith in the resurrection of the dead. We're going through a process of rectification, our faith. This is the only reason why we would be suffering to the degree that we had for an ultimate good, because you see, we need that level of perfection. We need perfect faith in the coming of the Mashiach of Yod Heh, because the Mashiach represents knowledge of Yod Heh. Knowledge of Yod Heh. We need to have faith in the resurrection of the dead, because there will be a resurrection of the dead and we are part of it. We need to know every aspect of it and have faith in it, because it is a revelation of the name of Yod Heh, that is life, the source of life. Okay? You shall utterly perish. He did this 2 years earlier than the numerical value of Washanant and Nimar, that prophecy about them should not be fulfilled. You shall utterly perish. This is the meaning of what he said. And Yahuwah hastened with the evil and brought it upon them. For Yahuwah our God, Yod Heh our God, is charitable. Tzaddik, that comes from Daniel 9:14. He was charitable with us, for he hastened to bring it, the exile, 2 years before its time. And this is taken from 26. I call as witness against you this very day the heaven and the earth, that you will speedily and utterly perish from the land to which you cross the Jordan to possess. You will not prolong your days upon it, but you will be utterly destroyed. So in order to remove the curse of utter destruction, he was taken out of the land after only 850 years, so that they had not dwelled long in the land, which would have happened at 852 years. So what happened to these 2 years? They became 2,000 years of Edomite exile. Okay? They became 2,000 years. It's like Vilna go and said, we had been sentenced to death. Mashiach ben Yosef was sentenced to death. But in order to keep him alive, this is the teachings of Vilna Gaon, his punishment was expanded over a much greater length of time. This is what we are in now. To preserve Mashiach ben Yosef, which is a spark of our own soul, by the way. It's a spark of our soul called the Holy Yechidah, the unique one. In order to preserve that light, so we become whole, complete people with every single layer of our soul fully rectified and revealed, then we have to go through a longer process. Okay, it represents the tip of the Yod of the name Yod Heh Wahweh. There's 5 aspects of the name. The tip of the Yod, the body of the Yod, the Heh, the Vav and the Heh. They represent our 5 aspects of soul. They represent the 5 books of Torah. In order for those to be completely rectified and restored and returned to full status that reveals the name of Yod Heh Wahweh, we have to endure a much greater length of suffering, because it was decreed that we would be utterly destroyed. And the words of the Torah have got to be fulfilled in one way or another. And the way that these words have been fulfilled is to expand those 2 years over a much greater period of time, to nullify the effects of being utterly destroyed. Okay? So now we can see how this concept ties into this. You see these good figs? They're connected to, they're suffering for good, for their good. They're suffering so that the aspect of their soul that is represented in the name of Yod-Heh-Wah-Weh, in the tip of the Yod, that is also the concept of Mashiach ben Yosef, the Yechida, the soul level of Mashiach ben Yosef is the Yechida. It won't be utterly destroyed. It will survive, it will live, because it's the will of Yod-Heh-Wah-Weh to cause it to live, to cause us to live through it. So it just means that that period of time has got to be extended. The depths congealed in the heart of the sea. Again, filled, this comes 2,307. Exactly the same as utterly destroyed. Exactly the same as like the Gus figs. You see, they went into exile, but they came out for their good. We've gone into exile, we'll come out for our good. And just as the depths congealed in the heart of the sea to reveal the dry bed, that was enabled the children of Israel to walk along dry foot, so too for us. Okay, this is phenomenally linked to these good figs. We need to get to this stage. You see, the dry bed represents the name of Yod-Heh-Wah-Weh, represents our way out of redemption. How was that dry bed revealed? Because of the ark of Yosef, the bones of Yosef. The sages say, in Tehillim it says, the sea saw it and fled. What did the sea see? The sea saw the Aaron of Yosef, the coffin of Yosef, and because of the good deeds of Yosef that the bones of Yosef represented, the sea parted and the Bnei Israel were able to go through on dry land. That represented, by the way, a revelation of the name of Yod-Heh-Wah-Weh. I've talked about that in many of my videos. It's got the same gematria as it's connected to the number 186, which is connected to a phrase regarding the dry land, and it's also connected to the square ordinal of Yod-Heh-Wah-Weh 186, and the letter Kuf spelt out, by the way, and the square ordinal of Adam. So this is powerfully connected to this. Why? Because you see the four fillings out at the different levels, the different four worlds, come to 9,258, exactly the same as this. Different combination of numbers, but 9258. So the depths congealed in the heart of the sea for the good figs. The bad figs got killed in the plague of darkness. They didn't come out of exile. They was in there for their bad. They was in there to die. But the good figs came out. The good figs came out. And so too us. We will come out of Egypt. We'll come out of our exile, Roman exile. But you see, you've got to pay attention to all this wisdom to get us out of there. And the promises are so great. This final redemption is right upon us now. We're right at the door to enter into final redemption. And we get, and all this helps empower us to be able to make the distinction between bad figs and good figs, and make sure that we are counted in amongst those that are good figs, because it's not the will of Yod-Heh-Wah-Weh that the wicked die, but that all should return and then live. So that's it for this lesson. There's some incredible gematria. We've only looked at a few numbers, this number, and this number really. There's some other numbers in and amongst here that are utterly phenomenal. We need to go and have a look at that in another lesson, hopefully. There's a lot in here to think about. There's a lot in here to bring us to life. There's not a lot of ears to guide us in here to guide us away from the errors the lies that we've been believing, that holds us in a state of exile where we can't even perceive Yod-Heh-Wah-Weh. We need to start to let go of this false teaching, let go of this bad seed that has been sown, and just let that good seed of the true word and wisdom of Yod-Heh-Wah-Weh flourish in our lives, so that we become these good figs. And with that, I will say shalom.